Hola, Comadres. Welcome to another episode of Comadreando. I'm your host, Marcy. And today we have a very special guest, Hazel. I'm going to let her introduce herself. Who are you?
Hi, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Marcy. My name is Hazel Veras. I'm a mom, early childhood educator, so many other things, entrepreneur. I like to make things at home. And I think that's about it.
Okay. So Hazel and she was like basically my mentor teacher. She was like one of my first friends when I started teaching at this one school. And, she was like the one that was like the most friendly to me. And then eventually we became like really, really good friends and we're like besties. And, so today's topic is nutrition and activities to foster creativity in children ages 0 to 3. And it's one I've been discussing a lot. I've seen discussed a lot in different articles and different forums. And I want to, I would hear people suggest to people with children with autism to stay away from gluten, to stay away from processed foods. And I wanted to kind of get into that with Hazel and discuss it because right now she's actually vegan. Well, not vegan, but she's more heavily plant-based and she's done a lot of research. So we want to kind of talk about it and give suggestions to parents. Remember, guys, take these suggestions with a grain of salt because at the end of the day, everybody's organism is different and everybody's body processes things in a different way. So I said that you are heavily plant-based, right? But I wanted to ask, what is your nutrition profile?
So, heavily plant-based. I do dabble in some proteins. It depends if my body is asking me for it. Because I know after being in quarantine, during quarantine, my body was going through, I don't know what it was going through, but I had a lot of allergies towards different types of food, including some veggies. So I had to be careful with that. And my body wasn't processing correctly. And I would break out in hives in my eyes and in my face and my neck.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I had to wean off of a lot of food. I lost a lot of weight. Then I started gaining weight again. And my body was craving meats and I was trying to, give my body what it wants, but also being in tune with what your body needs is really important because you could be vegan for good reasons, but if your body's craving something, you need to give it to it all in moderation, of course. Mm-hmm. So that's my profile right now.
So what made you decide to change to more heavily plant-based and incorporate some different kinds of proteins into your diet? Like besides the hives and everything, like
right.
I remember at one point we both watched that documentary on Netflix.
Oh, what that changed our lives?
That like completely, we were like, maybe we shouldn't be eating all that junk.
Exactly, changed our lives. I don't know. I just started tasting different things in the food in a way that I didn't before, and I'm very sensitive now to chemicals and things that are put in our foods, and I taste them off the bat, which is so weird. Like, I love potato chips, can't eat them anymore because they taste like cigarettes to me. And it's like, why does Doritos taste like cigarettes? I can't eat them. Fish that's frozen tastes like soap. I don't know what it is, but I'm very, very sensitive to certain types of foods and the things that they put in the foods to preserve them. So, and that is something that our children that have autism are very, very sensitive to. And some of our kids, they like the junk food because they don't taste those things in it. And they stick to one particular food. And I swear, I think that's the reason because they are very sensitive and keen to certain ingredients and things put in the foods to preserve them.
You know what's funny? You're saying the cigarette taste, and I'm remembering when I was a kid, I wouldn't be able to eat peanut butter and jelly because to me, when you would combine the peanut butter with the jelly and the bread, it tasted like cigarettes to me. Every freaking time. And then I had gastric bypass surgery, remember? Back in 2000, 2011, I want to say.
Right.
And you go through this process. Basically, you're like a baby again. You like stop eating everything that you usually eat. You go to like clear liquids. And after the clear liquids, you move up to like basically compota, like, very mushy
soft food. Yeah.
Soft foods. And then you start incorporating certain things into your diet again. Once I did that, that my palate basically got cleansed and I got rid of all the toxins in my body, that I started tasting everything again. It was so like, there's certain things I still can't eat. It's very off-putting because I can taste the chemicals. Like, especially, like, I used to be a big McDonald's person, and I don't knock anybody that eats McDonald's.
Same.
But I can literally taste the chemicals in it. Like, you know, like, even when you're trying to quote unquote be healthy, I remember one time I ordered one of those mango smoothie things that they sell. Girl, I don't know what chemical it is, but I cannot tolerate. I can't palate it.
And that makes me feel good that you're saying that, because for a while, my mom, my husband, everyone was like, what's going on with you? Why are you tasting chemicals in food? And I'm just like, I don't know. But it is what it is now. I do taste things, and if I taste a chemical, I won't eat it because I taste it and I'm sensitive to it.
So what was your diet like growing up? I know we're both Dominican, but like, what kind of things did your mom used to like make and eat that you really can't eat anymore?
Beans?
No.
Nope. I cannot
even if you like soak them yourself?
Nope.
Oh wow.
No beans. I can't digest them. But regular Dominican diet, rice. I can't eat rice. The rice gives me stomach cramps. And if I do eat it, it has to be minimal, less than a cup, because if not, I can't digest it. And just, you know, basic rice, meat, plátanos, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Did you have any food allergies when you were a kid, or this just developed now?
None. Just developed now. It happened during quarantine. I don't know what I was going through, what changes my body was going through, but it was definitely saying, you need to wake up, sis, because you're not eating this. And if you do eat it, your eyes are going to swell and you're going to look crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so.
No, I feel like all of us during quarantine, like we all went through like a mass awakening, basically.
Absolutely.
Like everybody's more in tune with their bodies and like more aligned with the things that, you know, the things that are not really good for them. So it's very clear. Some of us have not still, you know, gotten to that point, but the majority of us that have, it's crazy, because it's like, you know, we've changed like completely from
for sure,
you know, from who we used to be to now. So it's very interesting, and that it's very refreshing. At one point I felt very like alone, and then now I'm like discovering like so many other people are like feeling the same way, and like like kind of considering themselves more instead of like thinking more of like whatever it is that is supposed to be correct.
Yeah, we feel alone because we think that no one else is going through this, right? And which is the same thing that happened to me. And I went inward and secluded myself, and I needed that. It was so healing to do that, to be able to do that. And so in a way, quarantine was a blessing and a curse, but it was definitely more of a blessing to me, because I learned about myself, who I truly am, right? And that happens with our kids too, right? Our autistic kids, they're always inward. They're never outward. We were living outward directed lives. They are living inward directed lives, and they're like, you know, I'm gonna do what I want to do.
And this is the thing. This is like I was on a podcast for a Wind and Cloud podcast. Shout out to Rick and Alexandra, and they basically asked me, they're like, so what have you learned from your child? And I'm just like, to not give a crap about.
I tell you that all the time.
Yeah, about what other people have to say, about other people's opinions. Like, Aiden is very inward driven. Like, he's very self driven. He's gonna do what makes him happy. You know, and he just came out like that. And for us, the like neurotypicals, we're looking at him. Well, not me anymore, but before I used to look at him like kind of like, dude, you need to follow the rules. You need to conform. This is not quote unquote normal. And that is not what he came here to do. He came to disturb and like offset everything and kind of teach us how to be more ourselves. Because a lot of the time we're living out these lives that is miserable. I remember during quarantine, and I spoke to you about this. I felt kind of like very like, I don't even know how to put it into words. Just very like, ¿cómo se dice? Not deceived, kind of just
like
kind of
cheated,
like waking up every day to do the same thing and jump into the hamster wheel. And I was just kind of like, there has to be more to life. Like, this cannot be it.
It's like we were brutally awakened to that reality, that we were doing that. And in a way, you do it, and sometimes you're like, oh, I need a break, I need a vacation. And then you go back and do it again, and you're okay with it. But this time it wasn't okay.
Mm-mm.
This time it like hit you in the face, and you're like, oh my God, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
Like, this is not it.
You cannot wake up every day and be unhappy and like show up to a job and like do the thing and then go back home, sleep, and do it over again the next day. Like,
right.
No.
It also awakened us to be more honest and live our truth, despite the fear that you may have for speaking that truth.
Yeah.
That's something that I learned, like, whoa. Mm-hmm. It just got to a point where my body was even telling me, like, you need to speak up. Like, this is it.
So going into that part, like, that's a good segue. What is your career? Right?
Yeah.
And then we can talk about all that stuff. So, like, what is your career? What made you go into early childhood initially? And then what happened after you basically, you know, kind of awaken and align yourself with who you really are? Right.
So my career is, by nature, I've always wanted to work with children. In the beginning, when I was in college, I thought I was going to be a pediatrician, but I couldn't hack the hours of study. I was like, no, I need a social life. So that gave me segue into psychology, which landed me into nothing with psychology. I was in business and human resources and advertising. And then come 9/11, it was a little awakening for me. So now that I know what I know, I understand that I was awakening in like segments of my life. Yeah, in phases. So 9/11 was a huge awakening, and I was like, I need to do what I want to do because life is short and I want to work with children. So I quit my job in advertising. I was making great money, and I started working in a daycare for no money. Like, I was a slave. It was bad. And while I was there, I looked for another job, and then I went to Head Start. And then from Head Start, I took my test and went to the DOE. And that's where I really blossomed. And I started teaching gifted and talented children, dual language. And then I went into the other K1 and 2 grades, and I started teaching there. I absolutely loved it. I was in my thing. Look, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. And then, you know, I was there for years, and I was teaching, learning, teaching, learning. And then something hit me, and I was like, I need to leave the classroom. I was done. I was noticing little things that I was just not okay with, the way administration went about things. And I understand it's a system. They're doing things from above, you know, people from above are telling them to do things. It's fine.
It's a top-down approach.
It's a top-down. Everything is top-down. It's really not centered around the kids, because in reality, it should be a upside-down pyramid, right? Where the children are on top and everything else is on the bottom. But it's not like that. So I started noticing those things, and I started researching what can I do, but still stay in the realm of teaching. And then I got into coaching, which was an outside of the classroom, helping the teachers, which I was like, that's great. I can do that. And even then, the bureaucracy, once you leave the classroom, is to the point where it's nauseating. And then the things I started learning once I started doing my administration, because I wanted to be an admin. And I was told by a superintendent that I didn't know how to play the game. That's when I was like, this is unreal.
Yeah.
I was like, what game? Like, I didn't realize we were playing a game. I was like, whoa. And to hear that from a superintendent of schools, I was like, something's wrong. And then came COVID, and I had, because I was a coach, we were put into virtual teaching, and I was assigned some kids, and I had such a hard time understanding what they wanted me to accomplish with these kids online. And I wasn't even in person with them. And I was just so like disgusted and just turned off. And I really didn't do what they asked me to do. I did what I knew was best for the kids. I only taught 2 subjects the whole day. It was reading and math. And I did it in small groups. And then I did 2 big group meetings, and that was it. Whether or not they liked it, I didn't care. So I was already pushing the line, right? And I was already speaking my truth and just standing my ground. And then last year in June, I decided that I needed to resign because it was no longer fitting for me,
And it wasn't serving you either.
my body was it was bad. Like I would get panic attacks. I would get nervous breakdowns. I would cry because of the kids. I just couldn't do it anymore. So August of last year, I quit. I resigned, and people were like, "Oh, you're crazy. Your pension and all these years." I don't care.
So what?
So what? Paper is money. I mean, money is paper that we give value to. I don't care. And I firmly believe that once you listen to you and you're inward directed, nothing is going to go wrong for you. It may be hard because it's a different style of living. I'm not used to it, and it's confusing at times and very complicated. But I did it, and it was a grieving period, Mars. Like,
I remember.
Oh my God, oof! I cried. I was here in my house, like, I'm such a failure. I'm a loser. I'm not doing anything. I mean, I've been working since I was 15.
Yeah.
So to wake up every day and not know what your day is gonna look like, I didn't know how to handle that. But when you really honestly pull back and think about it, that is what life is. We cannot plan life. Life is not predictable. It shouldn't be. So, I embraced it after like 6 months. I started saying, okay, I'm going to pick myself up. I started working on me. I was meditating, watching my diet. And all of a sudden, all the answers came to me. And it was just like, oh my God, parents are pulling their kids out of school left and right. I am a teacher with 19 years under my belt, and I understand now that kids need to be free to flow within their own multidimensional bodies. We are multidimensional beings. We don't understand that. We're just learning that. And the kids come in knowing that. That's why they want to dim their light so hard with all this programming, and that's what school does, basically.
And guys, I'm gonna like touch on something. Like, I send this to Hazel all the time. The systems of education that are in place right now were created to have workers. That they're gonna look down, do their job, eat, survive, go home, and come back.
That's it.
So the problem with that is that we are no longer in that timeline, right? We are in a different timeline. People now are working in jobs that those people in the 1800s would never have thought of a person working virtually. Like, what is a computer? What are you talking about? Right. We can work from home. What? So that no longer serves us. The system of education needs to change. We need to foster creativity in our children. We cannot continue to stamp out the how they come in free, right? I like the model of like the Montessori schools, like the kids are learning and learning through play, right? This is how children are supposed to learn. Like, this whole like sit down, no, you got to do this, you got to answer this. No, that is all like programming the children to be subservient, to just follow and not question, right?
Absolutely.
And then the thing is, now the system of education is trying to adapt the old system is trying to adapt the new ways of quote unquote pushing the kids to like push their thinking. It doesn't work in that system. Like, if you're teaching the kids from like an early age to sit down and just listen, but then you're trying to teach them to go beyond that and push their thinking, it's not going to work in the system that is existing right now. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then that's why we saw that influx of behavior issues in the classrooms, right? When 2005, I was writing my thesis for graduate school, and I did it. My thesis was literally named, "What is happening to our children's garden?" We are living what I wrote in 2005. I said it. And that's the year when they came into my classroom and totally told me that playtime is over and I needed to take the kitchen area out, the dramatic play area out, and it will be replaced by subject matter being taught to these kindergarteners in a dual language setting. And I was just like, what is happening? I was devastated, but I followed suit because what did I know? I was a novice, right? I
Yeah.
didn't know. And
At that point, they would have been like, your kids are going to learn better if you put a pink post-it on your forehead. And we were going to do it because they're the bosses, right? Like, they're the ones that are telling us what to do.
They're the ones that, quote unquote, know about education better than we do. And we're just learning. And so, you know, back then I knew. And if anyone wants to pick up a copy of the book where my thesis was published, it's called Education Matters. By Beverly Falk, and she is an early education director in City College in New York City. And she wrote that book, and she selected several theses from the course that she taught, and one of the theses was mine. But it just talks about what education looked like in 2005, and even then we already knew what was coming down the pike. But the years that followed saw an influx of behavior issues that were like chaotic. And of course, because now I understand that these children, whether they be rainbow children, indigo children, star children, whatever it is, they all come with that new frequency. The I don't give a you know what frequency. That's what they come with. I'm gonna do me. They are inward directed by the innie, not the outie.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. That clash came, and the behavior issues were crazy. And so new things needed to be implemented, like, you know, accident reports and all these things and whatever. But it's just insane. And this is why it's happening. And now even more so, these kids, and after being home in quarantine, they're not having it. They go to school and they're mad. They're mad all day. And I'm not even in the classroom anymore because I'm teaching here from home. And it's wonderful because I'm actually servicing the parents that understand. They understand, and they took the chance to take their kids out of that programming and give them a different experience. One that's going to let them shine their light and give them an opportunity, a space, an environment that is nurturing and that is nurturing and that allows them to live their unique lives, like their unique purposes that they're here for.
Sorry, let's go back to what you were saying. So yeah, they're coming in with the keys, right? And then we're taking these keys away because we're limiting their thinking. It's crazy. And then we're just go ahead.
When you remove yourself and you see it as you know, you're an observer, you understand the reasons why it's being done, right? It doesn't benefit the government, the systems that are in place for these children to go out and be unique and be themselves and live their purpose that they come with. We all come with a purpose. I know this now. And I always felt it. I just didn't understand what it was that I was feeling, but now I'm able to put it into words. We all come with a unique purpose. And this is how it works. Just like every plant has a unique purpose, we all have a unique purpose. And when we put them in schools, we dim that light and we take that away from them. And they become angry. And this is why in middle school we see children that are so angry because it's just like they don't know who they are, what they're supposed to do. They don't want to sit down and learn about whatever history or fractions or whatever. They want to do something that's important to them, but they just don't know what that is. Yeah. They never had the chance to figure that out.
Or to explore what they really, really love.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, I was really, my happiest moments where I was like really zen, because I've been reflecting a lot on that, was like when I was creating. So I used to like literally make all kinds of stuff. Like at one point, I thought I was going to be a fashion designer. So I would take like scraps of material and make Barbie doll dresses for my doll. Besides that, Dad used to encourage me to continue to draw. So I would like make all these designs and stuff like that, which was cool. What else was I into? I used to like paint and draw and sing and dance and stuff like that. And then at one point, not my dad, somebody was like, "You think you're going to make money like that? Like,
right. You know, how are you going to make money like that?
What are you going to do? Like, you can't major in that. You're not going to you're not gonna succeed, or you're not gonna
Right.
be able to be viable and do all these other things. So it was kind of like, stamped out in a way. And then after I stopped drawing and stuff, like I started writing and then reading, right? Because I would like escape into these books. And then at one point it was like, life stepped in. I was in college and I had to read all these crazy textbooks, and it was like reading that I was not passionate about. I mean, I still did it, but it was like, then after I graduated, I didn't have time to do the things that made me happy. Right. So it came to a point that like the depression like started setting in really heavy. And this is the thing, like, yes, people have chemical imbalances in their brain and things like that, but I feel like depression and anxiety is a direct result of us not following our calling and not tapping into the things that we're here for and what we're supposed to be aligned with.
I 100% agree with you. Absolutely. And this is why we see depression at such early ages now, because they know, the kids know. I mean, I don't know what your audience believes in, but we need to embrace that. They know, they come in. So we have 2 strands of DNA. These kids are being born with 3 strands of DNA. They know about the food. They know about the school system. They know that when they feel something, they need to do it because this is the frequency and the energy that they're coming with. They're very, very aware of what's going on, which is why the kids don't want to be there anymore. I have parents that have called me and they're like, yo, my daughter's in school, but she's having a nervous breakdown every day, and I don't understand what's going on with her.
One of my friends, she was on the show, and she was like sharing that with me, and I wanted to talk to her more about it, but I feel like it's a conversation we need to have in person. But like definitely, like she would have anxiety attacks, or like she would call in or go to the nurse because her stomach hurts. And I don't think that she's just making it up. I think it's her body's natural reaction. Like, I don't want to be there anymore.
And when I was teaching online, my stomach was hurting. But now I understand that my body communicates with me through my solar plex area, and that's what was happening. It was just like pushing it out. Like I needed to listen to that. And then I would like break down and have anxiety attacks, and that's what followed. And ever since I stopped, I've never felt like that again.
When this particular school that we were teaching at before Varys left and I switched schools was a particularly toxic environment. It was like, I know for a fact that we were placed there because we needed to see. So,
I think so. Yeah, we needed to see in different aspects, right? Because I saw it from that administrative point, and then you saw it from the classroom teacher point, and it's just insane.
It used to make me sick, guys. I really went through like a whole like depression, anxiety, like episode thing, and I was not well. I literally, I didn't know what to do. I was like having panic attacks. I was having breakdowns. I was like, physically ill. I was not going to work. My body was like, sis, what are you doing to yourself? Right. Like, really? Right. So, it came to a point that I was like, I need to go. I cannot stay here another year. No.
And I'm glad you did. And I don't want to apologize for us working there together because I think it served its purpose.
Yeah, it did.
Absolutely. But I'm so glad. I think you're so much better off for it, and so am I. And the fact that we did it together along with our other friend really helped us because we had that safety net, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like we both went through I feel like my timeline for like opening my eyes was like a little bit more forward than yours at one point, but then I feel like you caught up so fast, and it's really crazy because it's like
that shit hit me in the face. I was
it was like karate chop in your face. You're like, bitch.
It did, and it had to be that way for me because if not, I was like, oh, everything's great, everybody's so nice, and da-da-da.
And it's funny because it's like I've always been like that friend that you're like, oh my god, this person's so great, and I'm like, are they really?
Yeah, you always question it. I'm like, but I don't understand. Why?
I'm like, are you not seeing?
Yeah, I did not see.
No, and then now, I feel like now, like, we're both like, we're like, we do that little meme face, like, I don't know. But yeah, like, so let's talk more about nutrition, right? So my question that I wrote down for you was, how does nutrition in children from an early age affect health in the long run? And we're talking about health, like spiritual as well as physical.
Oh my God, it's so important. So if you feed your kid junk, then his physical and spiritual will be junk. It's almost like it's calcified, right? It's like a film that's placed on top of your spiritual calling and your body functioning correctly, and that's what happens. It not only does it calcify their spiritual, but also the pineal gland, and that is so important. We don't know that. I'm going to speak for myself. I'm learning that now, and I'm so in tune now that when I hit something on the head and I connect with it and it resides with me, I feel it here. And it's so weird. It's so weird because it starts like tingling and I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means. But now I know. And these kids know that. And the fact that some of these kids come in and they just want to eat pizza or just eat like McDonald's, just the French fries or just the nuggets or whatever, they're very selective of the junk that they're going to eat. But I think that's all by design. I think it's all by design. They don't want to eat anything else but that. And not only your kid, but I'm surrounded in my family. I have my cousin's baby, Dylan. He doesn't eat anything. He likes maybe like a piece of cake and maybe the nuggets from McDonald's, if that. But what parents need to know is that these kids are very selective and they will never starve. They're never going to starve. They will never let themselves go to the point where they're going to starve and hinder themselves. But it's important to know.
But I want to also, because the thing is, like, yeah, the kids, like, okay, so Aiden went through stages. Like, Aiden at one point was just like milk, right? All he wanted to drink was milk. Even after he had the, like, you know, I would give him compota and stuff like that. But then once the onset of autism happened, he would only want milk. Then it got to a point he would eat yogurt. He can't tolerate yogurt anymore. He does not drink milk anymore either. He hates both of them. So, and then he got to the point that he was eating food, right? There was different foods that I would try with him. And like, sometimes he would like actually throw up. And, some of them like still like, I'll show him like a piece of lettuce or the lettuce will be near him. And he's kind of like, doesn't even want to see it. Yeah. So we're still working on that, but like, just because they come in with like a certain, preference of foods doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. I think you should try, but it shouldn't be to the point that you're forcing your kid to eat something, because that creates traumas around food and you don't want to do that to your child. But definitely like offer it. And if they see you eating it, you know, make sure that you're eating in front of them and they see you eating different foods, because that could motivate them to eat different things. Like now Aiden eats like pancakes and waffles and scrambled eggs in the morning, which is something that the other day he had dumplings like from an Asian spot. Like, I made sure it was like organic, obviously, but you know, he's trying different foods, but on his own time. So that's another thing I want to touch on, right? The Native American definition for autism, I can't pronounce it. I'm going to put it in the show notes, but it's Takiwatang, I want to say. And what it basically means is in their own time. They know when they are ready to do things. Like,
yeah, because everything is in layers. It's like an onion, right? And I understand that now. So we're all going through the same thing, but in different ways. Even the kids that with autism, because even in my awakening, it was in layers, and it's still in layers. I'm still peeling back the layers, and it's always another level, another layer, another level of opening of my consciousness and understanding. And so that's what it is, in their own time. And unfortunately, the medical system doesn't help parents, because that's what we do when we don't.
It's not here to heal
them. No, it's not here to heal. And unfortunately, what we need to wake up to is that doctors are taught to diagnose and give you the medicine. That is it.
But the medicine is not supposed to cure anything. It's not supposed to cure.
No, it gets you on a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
You know, have you seen the commercials on TV? And I just laugh at the side effects, and I'm like, why would I ever take that?
You
They're like,
might
may
die.
cause blindness. You may die. Your heart might stop beating. And I'm like, why am I going to take that? Like, it's crazy. So the medical field is not here to heal, holistically heal
Yeah.
you with your mind, your body, and your soul. Like, it's not, it doesn't work in that trio, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't. And when parents of autistic children run off to the medical field, they really don't get the assistance that I think. And I am not a mother of an autistic kid, but I do have a lot of friends and family, like I said. They don't really support that healing and that letting them go at their own pace and, letting them unfold the layers as they go. And if they just want to drink milk for 2 years, let them drink milk for 2 years. The next 2 years will be different.
Yeah. So through the podcast and like me researching and following all these different accounts, I follow a couple of adult accounts with autism. One of the people, his name is A Different Spectrum. I think you shared one of his videos with me, and another one is something autistic. I have to look at it, but basically, I learned this new thing called masking. Right, masking is the way that autistic people find of coping of being around neurotypical people, right? So that they can blend in, they're masking who they really are. And that kind of like just exploded in my brain. That was your nephew. So it basically like exploded in my brain because I'm like, wow, like, we think that they're quote unquote getting better, but what they're learning is to mask who they really are and all of that. Right. So, it's just really
that point just takes me back to the example that I said. We're all going through the same thing, but in different ways. We were masking ourselves also to fit in.
Yeah.
Until, we start waking up. And then there's people that are born that don't mask at all. They're just like, I'm me and I'm unapologetically me all the time. And that's wonderful. And that's what we need to learn how to do in this world. But it's really, really difficult.
Yeah, because like, especially, and then what bothers me is that one of the episodes that's going to air for this season, she's amazing. Her name is Imani Jones, and her IG is the hippie mom. So basically, she was like very much like us, like very awake, and she was trying to schedule out the injections for her son, right? The vaccines, and I think she fell behind on her schedule and she was missing some, and she went into the doctor's office and basically they got really angry and forced her to vaccinate her kid to the point that they were like, oh, we're going to call CPS on you. And she's a 20-something-year-old person. She doesn't know any better, and she agreed to it. And her son actually had a vaccine injury, right?
Oh, wow.
He had a vaccine injury and it resulted in him having autism. Her son was speaking and he does not speak anymore.
I mean, they will never admit it, but I think many, many of the millions of cases, because of the spike in autism, right? Because it went, in 1 year, it was like 1 out of every, I don't know. And then
88.
The next year it was like 1 out of every 8. And I'm just like, what's happening? Like, it was caused by that. Vaccines are really detrimental to our bodies.
Yeah.
And we say, oh, it's to keep you safe and so that you don't get like polio or anything like that. But they do have side effects.
So the whole thing is, for me, is not like I'm an anti-vaxxer, because I've said this on the show before. Like, I'm not like, don't vaccinate your kids, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Just like some of us are allergic, like you're allergic to a lot of things, right?
Right.
I'm not allergic to those things. All of our bodies are different, and these vaccines are like one size fits all. They're not tailor-made to your organism. So there are going to be people that react to them differently. And it just so happened that these children are hypersensitive. And, the cocktail, this is my problem, right? It's not like don't vaccinate your kids. It's like the cocktail of things all at once in one day.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
there's one visit the kids get like 5 or 3.
yeah, that's
That's a
insane.
lot.
That is a
And there's
lot.
so much shit in that stuff that we don't even know. And how like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just wild to me, and the
Yeah.
fact that people are pushing this narrative that, you know, it is for the greater good. I'm not saying don't vaccinate your kids, but we should have the freedom of saying, okay, yeah, I'm going to vaccinate them,
Yeah.
but I'm going to do it this day. I'm going to do this one. This way I'm going to do the
But
other one, or
yeah,
whatever, without threatening a parent's autonomy. You know what I'm saying?
right. But this is also opening the eyes of parents and learning how to speak your truth, like we said earlier, about your kids. Don't be afraid to protect them. If
Mm-hmm.
your intuition and your gut is telling you, I don't have a good feeling about this, listen to that. Because it is so, so valuable that we tap into that now, because that's all that matters right now. Your intuition is here to guide you. And we both have it, men and women. It's just been so dumbed down and so numbed and so quieted for so many years that we don't know what that feeling is. We're like, I don't know, I'm getting a bad feeling, but I'm just going to go with this person.
Yeah.
Right. And just to speak about the Amish, they don't vaccinate. I mean, granted, they're secluded from modern society, but they don't vaccinate, and their kids are healthy,
Mm-hmm.
and they grow up to be healthy parents and healthy adults, and they give
Mm-hmm.
birth to healthy babies. And I'm not saying not to vaccinate your kids. That is a total personal thing that
Decision.
you right, but be informed. Look
Yeah.
into what it is that's gonna happen or what might potentially happen, and also go with your gut instinct. Like,
Do your research.
absolutely,
Like, I have
absolutely.
a friend that she was pregnant, and she's like, oh, she's like very much, she's like researching everything, and then she found a study that said that the cereal that you put in the milk for the babies can
Oh,
cause like adverse effects in your children. So
absolutely.
she did not give the kids cereal. She didn't even give them any of the processed compotas. Like, she was making her own stuff.
Yeah, you should. I mean, we all have to go back to that at some
Mm-hmm.
point. I did that during quarantine. I started to make things, and I was just like, whoa, I'm making this and I'm making that. And now I'm in the process of learning how to make bread because I don't want to buy bread anymore. I
Like,
don't.
so the one thing that we noticed, like when we were working together, she has a gluten allergy, guys. So when she eats gluten, her stomach gets rock hard. She does not like, she'll
Yeah.
get outburst of, what is it, the eczema acts up
Oh,
too,
it's
right?
horrible. Yep.
And then we noticed that she got croissants that were fresh made from this bakery by the school, and she would not have the same reaction. So we're
Hmm.
thinking, like, what is in this processed bread that is causing her to have these reactions? So, like, you have to kind of listen to your body. Like, if your body is giving you a bad reaction to something that you're
Yep.
eating, definitely do not eat that. Like, there's a way, especially if it's processed, you can make it yourself. Yeah, it does take more time.
It does.
And,
It does. Yeah.
this corre lifestyle, like this run, don't stop lifestyle that we live, like, you have to take time for yourself and like listen to your body. I feel like that's one
Always.
of the things that I want the audience to take away.
Yeah, and then that also affects our kids, all that processing in the foods, especially our autistic kids. They are very sensitive to everything. Um, if you put something in their body that they don't agree with, and it could give them behavior problems, headaches. They could get angry.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it runs the gamut of the spectrum. But
There was a point that Aiden was having. I know it was a transition into junior high school. You
hmm
remember that, right?
I
Like, at the
remember.
beginning.
Yeah, yeah,
So he was having issues with aggression at school.
yeah.
We couldn't figure out what it was. They would call me. I would have to go pick him up. He wouldn't be able to calm down. Then I started thinking about the stuff that he was consuming,
hmm
what we were putting in his body. I was able to take that out. And then Aiden's back to his normal, happy-go-lucky self.
Absolutely.
There's certain things that we give to our kids. We need to really, really look at what it is we're giving them, and what we're exposing them to, because like, they might be not necessarily allergic, but they might have adverse effects, and we don't even know what it is. Like, it could be
No.
something as simple as the soap you're using to take a shower.
Oh,
if
for
you're
sure.
using a
Yeah.
certain deodorant, you know, things
Yep.
like that. Especially kids that are on the spectrum, they're so hypersensitive to things,
To
and
all those things.
it's really bananas. Like the first episode that's airing, she's a woman, like an adult with autism, and she didn't get diagnosed until she was later on in life, but she tells me that when she is overstimulated or something does not go well with her system, like it's to the point of nausea, like she's nauseated
Oh,
and she
wow.
can't tolerate whatever it is. So it's really like, it's just being more in tune and more in line with who you are, and like really
Yeah.
listening to your body, guys, because this
Yeah.
is part of being more conscious, is like really listening to
Yeah.
yourself and not
And listening to
ignoring.
your kids, because you know how we grow up and you're like, oh, you're just a kid. You don't know what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
They really do know what they're saying.
Yeah.
And who are we to tell them about their little bodies? You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
if they want to eat something or they don't feel good about something, that needs to be heard. And we need to validate that, because it's like you said, once we start saying you're a kid, you don't know what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
that goes in and they sink it down and it becomes trauma, and then it starts just accumulating inside of them, and then they become this adult that doesn't know how to communicate, has
Mm-hmm.
outbursts, and it's just, it's time for us to break all those generational things that we carry. And now is the time. There's no time like the present, especially now where our consciousness is opening up, and we're actually learning about what it means to be a human, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know yet. The medical industry says that they know about our DNA. No, they don't know. Well, if you think about it, the people on the top, whoever they are that are running this whole show here on the planet, they know more than anybody who we are, where we come from, and everything that we don't know because we forgot. It's time for us to know about it. And this is why our bodies are waking us up to that. It's time.
So, going back a little bit, let's talk about activities that parents, because the thing is, the school that you're running right now, what activities do you suggest for parents to foster that spark in their children, to foster that spark that the children are already born with, and to tap into that creativity, and also to like encourage speech in their children too, because like because you have that specialty of early childhood, and also you are more conscious, like know that there's activities that parents can do to help their kids more, and really get to know who their children are, and let their children take command of who they are, and like the things that they're learning.
Well, first and foremost, it's that emotional support. Letting your kid know that if they feel sad, they want to cry, or they're angry, giving them space and holding space for them to feel those emotions. Because if we don't do that, what happens is, again, they swallow it, it becomes trauma, and then it starts escalating and escalating and escalating until you get an outburst, which is what we're used to seeing in the classroom, right? Because these are kids that are not heard. Nobody's holding space for them to go cry somewhere. No one is holding space for them to go be angry. And so that's the basis that we need to start with, so that then they understand that it's okay, because it's just an emotion. And emotions are temporary, not forever. And we grew up knowing that emotions are forever.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that makes me angry. And then it becomes a trigger. And this is where triggers come from, right? So if we make that basis for the kids, and they have an environment where they understand that if they're sad about something, they're going to go cry about it. And when they feel better, they come talk to you. And it's over. They release all of that negativity out of their body and away from them, and it's forgotten, because they also have to understand that we live in the moment. There is no past, there is no present, there's no future, there is only now. And so when we teach our children that, they understand it, and they're like, for the now, I'm sad, and then I'm going to let it go, and I'm going to feel how I'm going to feel, and then it's over. And I'm back to being Hazel again, and I'm happy, and I'm playing. So
that's one of the things that I really, like, I talk to my students about, like, you're having a moment.
That's it.
When you're ready, we can talk about it.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not pushing this narrative, like, oh, you got to talk, you got to be happy. No. you're having your moment. It's
Yeah.
okay. Breathe it out. You're going to be okay. And then when you're
And
ready,
that's
we can
it.
talk about it. You
But it
know?
has to be intertwined into the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So there comes a point where everything is flowing and the kid knows, okay, I'm sad. I'm going to go over there and cry and then come back and talk to whoever I want to talk to and let them know what I was feeling. And that's how they cleanse themselves out of that emotion. Because in essence, we are here to understand our emotions because we are emotional beings
Mm-hmm.
and deal with them and then move on. Because what was practiced in the past is that you have an emotion and you take it and you sink it in and it's part of you.
Like,
And
it's
then it
not
becomes a
okay to
trigger.
be
It's not okay.
angry.
It's not okay for you to cry. It's not okay for boys to cry and show emotion. It's not okay for a girl to spaz out because she doesn't like something,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So, and that's what makes it so rigid and so controlled. And then that's what creates the outbursts later on.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
I
then,
think that's a good basis. I mean, I think it's a great basis to start.
so emotional support.
Absolutely.
¿Qué más?
Emotional support, granting them an environment where they can make mistakes. I mean, God, the DOE says it all the time. Yeah, you can make mistakes, but really, can you? Because
Mm-hmm.
you can make a mistake, but then I'm going to test you on it and don't make a mistake again because then your test score is low and that reflects on you.
Mm-hmm.
We need to break away from that. I mean, I don't know when it's going to happen, but in my school, tests don't matter. I don't do a test. I mean, it's not like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
more play based, learning about myself. We practice a lot of breathing and a lot of, things with our third eye and all those things. So that when they know that they have a space with support, that is like the ultimate win there.
So for the parents that, because there's gonna be parents that are like very set into this
Academic.
this academic system, right? So how would the students show you that they're learning? Like, what kind of,
Then those parents are not for me, and I'm not for them, and that's okay. There's something for everyone.
Yeah.
I work with early childhood. You cannot become a functional adult that is going to live a happy, purposeful life if you don't know who you are from the get.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the basis that we are missing. That is the basis that was taken away from them and from us in 2005 when everything changed, when I wrote that thesis.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we need to go back to that. Play is so important. Imaginary play, any type of play, and also doing hands-on activities, grounding outside, working with plants,
Mm-hmm.
working with woodworking, creating things. If a kid says, oh, I have an idea and I want to create this, give them the time and the space to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you and I both know that for a while there, we did a project-based learning, right? But how much of that was a project-based? I mean, we would pick what they would do.
Mm-hmm.
There's no freedom there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not it.
Like, definitely project-based learning, but kind of really giving your kid the
I'm talking about real
autonomy, the autonomy to choose what it is that
with autonomy,
how they're gonna
something that comes from them.
Mm-hmm.
So a long time ago there was like an old generation where what they would do with their kids from ages 2 to age 8 in their schooling, it was like a school system, they would just observe the kids and take observational notes and let the kid go into if they wanted to do music or if they wanted to create something with wood, and they would observe that. And then after a while, the kid wouldn't do all the areas, but select one path for himself or herself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's speaking to you without speaking to you, right? The kid is letting you know, I don't want to do music, art, or whatever. I want to work with wood, or I want to work with plants. And that's how they picked what they were going to do for the rest of their lives.
If you look at the movie Soul, it literally...
Oh my God, yes. Soul is amazing.
That is exactly like...
That's it. But we kill that in the school system. They don't even know the kids, the poor kids.
What's crazy is that, like, if we continue to do things how they've been being done for so many years, we're gonna turn into those monsters. You remember the monsters in the that they're just like
Yep. That's it. They're machines, right?
Yeah.
Machines. We're gonna turn into machines, and that's what it's gonna be. There's also a great show, and I don't know who streams it because I watch it on the Fire Stick, but it's called Severance, and it's about a man who severed his brain, so his work personality doesn't know his out of work personality.
Oh wow.
And in essence, if you think about it, that is exactly what we do without doing a medical procedure. We sever our brain because when you're at work, you don't think about your home personality.
Yeah.
The moment you get out of work, you're like, crap, I gotta go cook, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, right? So your out of work personality takes over.
Wait, didn't I used to tell you something that you used to crack up all the time? I'm like, summertime Marcy is very fun.
Oh,
and they're two different people.
Of course they are.
Work Marcy during the school year is completely different than summertime Marcy.
And I'm sure you're a different Marcy now because you guys are on break, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're severed. We're all severed. And what's happening now and what happened to me is that I joined that and I'm not severed anymore. I don't need to sever myself.
Yeah.
I don't have a work personality and an out of work personality. And this is where we're all going. We're all going to get there. I mean, everybody at their own pace, but we're all going to get there.
I'm going to send you some podcasts. There's like, it's called the Great Migration, which is the phenomenon that's happening now that everybody's just up and quitting.
Yeah.
Up and
the
quitting,
Great Resignation,
leaving.
The Great whatever. They
Great
always have to label
that's
it.
what it is. Yeah.
It's actually us awakening to our own truth and our own power.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Case in point, which is amazing. And I'm so happy that we're alive during this time. And I'm so happy that your child and the other autistic children have people like us to pave the way for them and speak up for them.
Yeah.
Because things are going to continue to happen until people really wake up. I mean, I don't know, just to change the subject a little bit, if you know what's happening here in New Jersey, starting September, they want to teach some inappropriate things to children in grades, starting in grade 1. And it's about their sexuality and how to please themselves. And it's just craziness here in New Jersey. And parents are taking their kids out of school in droves.
Wait, what are they doing?
So apparently there's a new curriculum coming in September.
It's like sex education, but you're doing it in the
early childhood.
Nah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all pro, like, explore your body, be free, do your thing. But I feel like there's a limit, right?
So
there's
can
a
you
limit.
Imagine
No.
teaching in first grade?
Absolutely
can you imagine
not.
That?
Absolutely not. Nope.
Right. So this is what's happening here in New Jersey, and parents are taking their kids out of school in droves. And not only that, but the Board of Education here has already been founded to they broke like 2 federal laws and 2 other laws with their curriculum that's coming out. And they still passed it.
I gotta do research on this.
Yeah.
Because this is making me upset right now.
Oh,
what?
God. I've had headaches about it and everything.
I'm very sex positive, everything, whatever. Explore your body. That is, your body's your temple. You do whatever, as long as it's healthy and you're not harming another person. Yes, a 6-year-old is not, and you cannot have strangers teaching your children about their bodies.
I just asked myself, I understand that fear is a thing, and that's how they control everyone in this world, right? Fear is what controls us all. Whether you want to acknowledge that or not, that is the truth. Because I know, because I've been there. Mm-hmm. But I want to know, and I'm very curious to find out how these teachers are going to stand up to this. Are they going to just do it and feel how uncomfortable it's going to feel for them to deliver such a class like that to first graders? Or are they going to stand up for it and say, I'm not doing that, regardless of whether you're tenured or not, right? Because That's what they say. Oh, if you're tenured, you can speak your mind. But if you're not tenured,
it's fear
you
based.
can't.
Because like if you're not tenured, they're like threatening your livelihood and whether you're
It's
going to be
always
able to
been.
produce money and all this stuff. And this is like, guys, and then this is something we're going to touch on it, and then we can probably make another episode on it. But the way that they make teachers follow along is like threatening their livelihoods,
All the
threatening
time.
their existence, threatening whether they're going to be able to exercise their careers. Because the thing is, like, the teaching career, that's something that's very godly, right? Like,
Yep.
it's very selfless. It's something that you get into, and I'm talking about the people that have a real calling to teach. Because there's people that teach because they feel like it's cool, or they feel whatever.
They like the summers off.
Yeah, they like the summers off. The people that are really called to teach are there because they love their career. And the way that the administration and the powers that be force them to do things is by threatening whether they're going to be able to do that thing that they love.
Yeah.
You know?
But administration gets the threat too, right? And so
it's top down. It's definitely top down.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And it's really bad. It's disgusting. It's just like such a big turnoff. And for years, I really thought I was doing the right thing, and it served its purpose. And I'm so glad that I'm aware now. But something has to give, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering how this is going to play out. And I pray to God that these teachers get the courage to speak their mind.
Yeah.
Because if not, then my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that, comadres, we're going to end this very lively, very enlightening episode.
This was amazing.
I want you guys to follow me at Comadreando Pod on Instagram, and you can follow Hazel at, if you want, you drop the school
Oh, it's called Nuna 5D Community. Just a little tidbit. It's not like a school, and I can't use the word school because then it means like, DOE or whatever. But I am a private membership education association. Okay.
All right. So I'm going to put that in the show notes. And of course, if you guys have any questions for me or for Hazel, please feel free to drop a Comadre-Gram at my email at comadreando@escthenetwork.com, or slide up into my DMs. And I want to thank you for spending the morning with your comadres. And thanks so much, Hazel, for being on the show. This was so awesome.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you more. Bye.
Bye.
Don't hang up.